Hola, from Cascada Cafe Retiro in Popayan, Colombia. South Korean rivers run red with blood of 47,000 slaughtered pigs in an attempt to halt the spread of African swine fever. Heavy rains caused blood to flow from a border burial site into a tributary of the Imjin River. ASF is highly contagious and incurable with a 0 survival rate for infected pigs, but it is not dangerous to humans. The pig culling operation was carried out over the weekend. The carcasses were said to have been left inside multiple trucks at a burial site near the inter-Korean border. A delay in the production of plastic containers used for burial disposal meant that burials could not be carried out. What was also hard to endure was the odor. China looks to import Russian pork to cover domestic shortages, and pork prices doubled in China on swine fever fallout. Prices of the country's favorite meat in October surged 101% year on year and 20% from September, according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics. We are at risk of losing at least 1/4 of the pig population this year alone, and the big problem carries over into all other forms of protein, poultry, and fish. Also, pigs are used to produce drugs like insulin, heparin, skin grafts, and many other uses, causing cascading problems. China now wants to buy 100 million of pork from the Danish crown by 2020. Ice Age Farmer wrote an article in February 2018 titled, "Why is Flu at Record Levels? Immunosuppressive Effects of Solar Minimum? Virus from Outer Space?" He is asking if this could have something to do with solar activity. In the abstract, he writes, minima in the sunspot cycle present conditions conducive to the entry of or activation of new pathogens and also for mutations of already circulating bacteria and viruses. 3 grand minima of solar activity on record, the Spore minimum 1450 to 1550 AD, the Maunder minimum 1650 to 700 AD, and the Dalton minimum, 1800 to 1830, have been marked by a preponderance of pandemics: smallpox, English sweats, plague, and cholera. This was the title of a USA Today article. Veterans Day is beginning to look a lot like Christmas, as cold sweeps the nation, freeze coming to Florida. More than 300 daily records could fall through Thursday, the Weather Service said. Houston's record low for Tuesday, 29 degrees, was set 113 years ago. The forecast for Tuesday called for 27 degrees. Nashville's record of 18 degrees for Tuesday, set in 1911, was impaired by a forecast of 16 degrees. The governor, Holcomb, has signed an executive order which waives some time restrictions for truck drivers who haul propane fuel. Throughout the Midwest, there has been reports of propane shortages and long lines at terminals. Some terminals ran out of fuel. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration declared a regional supply emergency in Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. The problem with propane shortages is not only for heating fuel needs, but more importantly, farmers are unable to dry their crops. This is a huge problem due to the 2019 record-breaking wet season. Farmers are in crisis and are starting to turn to high-interest loans as the banks pull back. Over in Canada, dismal weather destroys 45% of sugar beet harvest in southern Alberta. The 2019 sugar beet harvest was stymied by weather from the start, when both the onset of the pre-pile harvest in August and the full harvest in October were delayed by rain and later, snow. Harvest conditions only got worse as October progressed. A storm dumped as much as 2 feet of snow on already saturated soil, leaving fields too muddy to support harvest equipment. Finally, just to put in perspective how bad the eastern Australian bushfires are, when the Brazilian Amazon rainforest went up in flames, it burned 125,000 hectares. Australia, so far, has lost 970,000 hectares, and the bushfires have now reached Sydney's suburbs. This information was taken from Ice Age Farmer. Please support him so that he can continue to do this amazing work at iceagefarmer.com. I invite you to come to the Colombian coffee farm called Cascada Café Retiro in Popayan, Colombia. I'm offering a 5-day workshop on the evolution of human consciousness December 2nd to 6th, 2019. And I encourage you to stay for more than a week to integrate this information into your body cells. As the extreme climate change intensifies, life in many countries will become very challenging. The time to prepare is now. Physical, emotional, and mental preparations are extremely important, but all of that is not enough. We must first understand who we are and why are we here on earth at this time. Infinite love.